Get started with the program. Thank you for coming to the Fall 2011 Student Venture Showcase. My name is Paul Kirsch. I'm the Associate Director at the Zell-Lurie Institute and one of the partners in TechArb. As we're getting settled in, I do want to recognize a few folks. Like my colleagues from the Center for Entrepreneurship, Moses, Amy, Susan, Doug will be here later. Amy Goldstein is also here. They're our other partner in TechArb. The Office of the Vice President for Research at the university is our other financial partner in TechArb. Thank you very much. I want to thank RPM Ventures and McKinley Corporation. They're one of our two founding outside partners in TechArb a few years ago. And A2 Meetup, the founders, David and Doug, you guys here. Thank you for hosting your monthly meeting here, driving some attendance to this event. And most importantly, I want to thank and welcome all of our student companies. Our 6th cohort of students will be presenting for you in a few minutes. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome into our new space, which is right over here behind this wall. Ironically, after several years, it's right next door to where TechArb started on that side of the wall a few years ago. We're now entering our 4th year at TechArb, and I don't think we can no longer call ourselves experimental. It's been pretty much a success all the way around. TechArb admits students twice every year, every May and every November. ZLI and the Center for Entrepreneurship look for a diversity of teams to welcome into TechArb. And we look at where our students are coming from on campus, the types of businesses that they're proposing, the stage of development that the business is in. And all the teams that come into TechArb get interviewed to make sure that they're going to get a lot out of the TechArb experience and they're going to add to the TechArb community and the entrepreneurial community in Ann Arbor. At TechArb, student teams have 24-hour access to our resources, the space, the internet, the coffee. We provide introductions and access to guest mentor and instructors. We promote ties to other university programs and community organizations like Spark and A2 Tech Meetup. We have regular pseudo board meetings to keep our student teams on track, get student teams used to dealing with the wonderful experience of dealing with outside board members and what we expect. And TechArb is successful in part because of all the effort and support we have from our community, but we're always looking for input to make TechArb better and more effective. And a couple of things that we've been thinking about that I'd like to have you think about, and if you have any suggestions, please offer up what you think. We are first and foremost a student accelerator, but we're part of the university. How do we maintain and what is the right mix of educational components in TechArb activities? Who are the right community partners for TechArb and for our mentors? And what elements should we consider adding to TechArb as we go forward? We always want to make each session a little bit stronger than the previous session. And overall, TechArb is about developing an idea, moving a business forward, asking the right questions, and learning by doing. Creating successful businesses is a good goal to have. Creating successful entrepreneurs is a great goal, and that's what we aim for here. And we have to keep in mind that sometimes success is defined by failing quickly and moving on. And TechArb hopefully is a safe space for all of the teams to succeed and fail in a very supportive community. We're very proud of our teams and the successes that they've achieved while they've been here. In a moment, my colleague Amy Klinke from the Center for Entrepreneurship will introduce our current TechArbians, and you'll hear from several teams about their efforts and successes. Doug Neal from CFE will offer his comments, and then following those presentations, we're going to announce the next cohort of 19 teams to come into TechArb. So without further ado, welcome, enjoy, and Amy?
Thanks guys, and once again, really thank you A2 Meetup. We really appreciate you guys coming out for this, and most importantly, I appreciate the fact that we can mix all of our ecosystems together, the student and the community. I think it's so important that everybody gets to come together and meet and see what we're working on. And you might have noticed over here we have kind of some tables, and that's where we have TechArbians right now, current TechArbians, which is what I call them, I just made that up, but they live over here, and as well as students that are participating in the practicum, so they're the future TechArbians. So after this, and once you get some food, please check out and talk to everyone and see what they're doing. So without further ado, let's get going. Each team will come up, they have 4 minutes, there'll be no question, there'll be rapid fire, and then you get to go talk to everyone out there. So, first one. Yep, giant eel, come on up.
Brendan Zagarin, here to present with giant Eel Productions. And we are innovating the 3D digital workflow in the mobile space. With me is my technical co-founder, Jacob Mendel, and he has really been the heart and soul of developing the technology behind the way that we are changing how 3D is made. So here's our team. We have a full-service production group together that focuses on everything from the optical engineering, the way that the 3D and stereopsis is recorded and managed on a Z-axis, to sound engineering, cognitive engineering, which is how the visual cortex of people's brains actually process the 3D, and of course the creative and business ends, how we turn this into a strategy of making money and ultimately moving forward as a company. So, our core concept is pretty simple. Obviously, in a 4-minute presentation, I can't go into a lot of details. The 3D mobile market is an interesting place because in the next year, you will have a huge influx of devices, mobile devices and tablet computers that are going to be 3D capable. There is a huge consumer demand for 3D, as evidenced by the fact that the ticket price for a 3D movie is a half to 2/3 as expensive as a normal movie. A third of Hollywood box office is now driven by 3D production, and that is shifting across a wide range of entertainment consumption. As that transitions to mobile, the way that people view entertainment is going to radically change. The only problem is that these devices do not have a platform to allow content producers to move their products into this space. So we are innovating the way that people make 3D, and we are going to ultimately produce a line of short branded content that is geared and made for mobile devices. While at TechArb, first let me just say that TechArb has been an unbelievably great experience. We've had the opportunity to interact with a whole community of entrepreneurs, bounce ideas, get feedback, have people tell us when we're screwing up, and have mentors who really walked us through a lot of processes that as creatives and technologists we were not familiar with, certainly not. I saw Paul smiling there, coming in. And so the process of writing a business plan, of developing a revenue model, has been a huge experience for us. While here, we've done a number of things. We've prototyped 5 independent pieces of content. We've won awards and recognition for innovation at the 3D Film Festival in Los Angeles, as well as TEDx. We've developed a business plan, found industry partners, conducted interviews, which has been an unbelievable eye-opener at every level of the 3D supply chain to make sure that people want to buy what we're selling. And we've acquired licensing agreements from Spatial View and Master Image, one actually as recently as this morning, which has been a cool experience. And also, we got to meet James Cameron, which was nice. Next slide, please. Our future, we've been in TechArb for 2 semesters developing our business, and we're moving on. We've recently acquired office space in Detroit. We plan on growing our management team a lot. That's actually one of the reasons we're here. And we have a number of new things that we've invented while we've been going through the 3D workflow to make it adaptive for mobile viewers. We're going to file patents on those. And we plan on licensing additional content. Because there's so little, licensing agreements are non-exclusive and have a very favorable revenue distribution. So we plan on expanding on the ones that we've already licensed for music videos, short media, to add 18 to 15 additional content products by the end of 2011. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, we have a table set up right over there.
Next up is Dime.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jillian Hinker, and I'm one of the members of Dime. We're a group of engineers and an MBA student. And what happened, so where we started was over a year ago in August of 2010. We went to Kumasi, Ghana, and what we did there was observations in the OBGYN department. And so while we were there, we assessed needs in the OBGYN department because one of the Millennium Development Goals is to reduce maternal mortality by the year 2015. And so while we were there, we saw a variety of challenges that the doctors faced. And when we returned there with some prototypes that we've developed to address these challenges, we were inspired to start that. So the first challenge that we are tackling is the one you see here. This is called soup ladle autotransfusion. And what happens here is when there is a lack of donated blood, women who experience a ruptured ectopic pregnancy lose up to half of their blood volume, cannot receive a transfusion. So what the doctors there try and do is recycle the blood. And the procedure basically consists of women come to the hospital. They're bleeding up to 50% of their blood volume, and so the physicians scoop the blood from the abdomen, filter it through their fingers and through a piece of gauze, as you see here, and then take the pop bottle, cut off, and pour it back into a blood bag and retransfuse it. So what we've developed is a piece of technology to replace this procedure, and we call it the hemofuse. And the basic premise is that by pulling up on the plunger, blood is taken into the cavity through filters and one-way valves, and then pushed into a blood bag that can then be retransfused. It's safer, simple, and is purely mechanical, easier to use, and low cost. So what we've done, so starting in May, we were in TechArb. And within TechArb, we created a clear vision for our company. Our group mainly consists of engineers, so we have this technology and we wanted to create it into a business, but quickly we learned that technology does not necessarily mean that you have a business. And repeatedly going to board meetings, people would say, I don't want to hear about the technology, what are you doing about your business? So that's been great. Networking with alumni, getting our name out there and talking to people. Also reaching out to different experts that have more knowledge than us in the space of social ventures. So one of the examples is we went to the Lean Startup Conference with the Center for Entrepreneurship. They connected us to Jeff Shocks, who's a patent attorney, and he is now helping us file a utility patent. So where we're going now for our future, we're looking to recruit new team members because a lot of our team is graduating and going off into industry. We're also doing rigorous clinical validation of our blood-ready prototypes. And we're constructing a return field visit to Ghana where we're going to do a comparison study with our device and their current procedure, plus rigorous investigation on their regulatory process. So thank you very much.
Vena is up next. Dimitri, you come in. And hope you all recovered from that one slide. And if you can, if there's people in the back, if you guys can scoot in and let some other folks behind you have a seat, that would be really great.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everybody. My name is Dimitri Akimaru, founder of Vena Biometrics. And first of all, I want to thank the TechArb for letting me present here. I also see some of the people from Michigan Entrepreneurship Organization, so great. We're going somewhere. Yeah. So what our business is about, you see a biometric scanner over there, that's a vein scanner, and you see a tablet PC basically. So what we are doing is we are using existing technology, biometric technology, and we hook them up with point of sales in order to be to create the ability for customers to go to the counter and instead of using their their credit card or any cash, to just hover above the scanner and be able to pay. And at the same time, it should accumulate their points as well. So that was the idea, and it was basically based on the concept that you could eliminate some of the things that you have in your wallet. So we looked into a lot of biometrics that are out there. Certainly there are more than one. We went with Palm-Bane authentication because it was more accurate, it had less bias and whatnot. There were a lot of reasons why we should go with Bane biometrics. What it does is basically it scans the veins inside your hand and it matches it with the database and you can understand who is who. So it's much more accurate, the fingerprint, etc. But I don't have time to go into details, so going on. Yes. So the current process of how money is actually processed is actually quite complicated if you're not familiar with it. But basically, once your credit card is swiped from the terminal that they have there, it goes through the merchant processor, goes into a financial institution, which is usually the bank of the merchant. Then the bank uses their own merchant processor, goes through the Visa, MasterCard, credit card networks, and the signal of approval or not is going to go back to the terminal at the point of sale. So this is the process right now, and our dream was this: to get rid of the many parties that there are between a transaction, and be able to just be one identification service that would basically tell whether or not you are that certain person, and whether you have enough money in your bank account to process the money. So we would go around merchant processors, we would go around the credit card networks, and we would use something that is called an ACH, which is the automated clearinghouse provided by the banks. We hosted, no, we didn't host. At the Empowered Career Fair that Empowered hosted, yes, we were one of the companies that were actually hiring people, and we demoed our system, and it was great because we saw a lot of good feedback. We enrolled over 100 students in our database, so it was a great thing, and people liked it. Our team, we had 8 people working at Vena, core members and 7 helpers, so it was quite an ambitious project, but to tell the conclusion, it failed. And I don't want to go into too many reasons, but I want to go more into what we could have done better. So we spent too much time on legislative stuff in the beginning, LLC over C Corp, what's the difference and whatnot. We put a lot of time into logo design and business cards, and to be able to basically show off to be a nice company. The interfaces and the fanciness. And we took part in business plan competitions, which took way too much time, I believe. Not that bad or anything, it's just we were slow. So we should have put more time and effort in actually validating the idea, whether it makes sense or not, the feasibility. Customer discovery is really important. Networking would also have been much more better if we put a lot of time into it. Understanding our customers, definitely a must. Some things that, okay, we've learned a lot of things through TechArb and being here. Unfortunately, I can't go through all of them, but definitely it is worth to start up a company, doesn't matter how old you are. And I'm working on my second startup right now, and it's just has been a great experience to be here in TechArb, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Dimitri. Next up, we have Real Good Foods.
Good evening. Let me start real quick. How many of you like homemade food? Anyone? All right. So, Real Good Food starts with my idea that I happen to be a very good cook, and there's very few things I don't make well. But there are a lot of things that I don't make as well as other people. And if I'm going to fulfill my own best eating capacity, I need other people to help me cook. So real quickly about myself, because I'm the current team, I'm a dual degree student in the School of Natural Resources and Ross, and I started my first food venture almost 10 years ago in the dorms of UC Berkeley, where I hated the dorm food and was determined to do something about it. I tried to institute a debit plan system for local restaurants so that parents could pay an alternative meal plan, and that was called Better Meal Plan. So you'll notice I haven't moved real far in my name selection. Alright, so what is Real Good Food? Real Good Food is essentially my cheesecake for your lasagna. I like to cook. When I make cheesecake, I hit it out of the park. When you make lasagna, you hit it out of the park. Let's find a way to leverage economies of scale at home and make 2 or 3 cheesecakes. You know, best of my ability, I can't really eat a whole cheesecake, let alone 3, but I can make 4 cheesecakes in the same amount of time it takes me to make 1. I presume that's true of your lasagna, I presume that's true of your tamales, I presume that's true of all the things that you can make really well that I can't. Real Good Food is an online exchange platform designed to connect home food enthusiasts with each other in order to facilitate interaction and exchange of actual food, not just recipes, but food, and that can be through events, that can be through simple trades, that can be through a location partner. You drop off, I pick up, and that's what we are. Since I have a minute, I'm going to skip that and go straight to TechArb Learning. What did TechArb help me do? I had a somewhat unique experience since I couldn't be present for a fair duration of my time in TechArb this summer. I was fortunate enough to have a very gracious kind of volunteer co-founder and a mysterious intern who was very good at listening to what I needed him to do and then disappearing for several days at a time. So I'll start with the bottom then. Coworker and intern management, quite a challenge, especially when you're a startup. You need to make sure that your co-founders have a risk appetite that matches yours, especially when it's a wacky idea like food trading online. The other thing that TechArb helped us do was really keep our feet anchored, make sure that we were focused on our customer discovery. Who is our key market? Is it diet-restricted communities, people that are gluten-free, dairy-free, people that have religious restrictions of what they can eat and need to find more outlets for people that can cook for them when they're busy? Is it simply people who love to watch the Food Network all day long and are really good cooks? Who are they and how are we going to serve them? And that really came through in the board meetings. They kept us regular, they kept us meeting, and they really challenged us to make sure that we were actively defining our market. So what's next? After a brief flirtation, Launch.com is a new crowdfunding campaign. I encourage other ventures out here to check it out. In partnership with the William James Social Venture Fund based out of, Social Venture Competition, excuse me, based out of DC. I will be launching a $10,000 crowdfunding campaign. I'm hoping for $20 from 500 people. This matches our annual membership fee, and it'll be a proof of market, as well as a chance to finally complete a minimum viable product that's been slowly dragged out. That minimum viable product will be a beta website. It's going to be launched in coordination with the Dare to Dream assessment phase, really nail down what our final business model looks like, and new chapters. I have chapter partners in DC, North Carolina, and Los Angeles, and I really look forward to introducing a platform that they can begin to use. And lastly, I'm looking for some new interns and or co-founders with Ruby on Rails development experience or huge risk appetite. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Next up, let's see, it's control. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this. We're on Fetch Notes. Come on up, guys.
Hey guys, we're from Fetch Notes, and we built a cloud-based note-taking application that helps get your tasks, ideas, grocery lists, and anything else that you need to remember out of your brain and into your workflow. We're a team of 9 University of Michigan students spanning computer science, mechanical engineering, informatics, and business, and we've been working on this for about 7 months. Sorry. So how many of you guys have ever felt like this? You know, you have too much stuff floating around your brain on any daily basis. But the problem is that the applications that exist right now to serve this need are way too clunky and heavy for a note that might just be, hey, this would be a cool blog post, something that might just be 3 to 4 words. The stuff that's there right now is much better set up for long-form documents, meeting minutes, class notes, agendas. We're trying to serve the niche for shorter, more immediate note-taking.
Yeah, so the first thing we're doing to help serve this niche is that we want to be everywhere. I mean, when you're trying to quickly jot something down, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to figure out, okay, how am I actually going to do that? And reaching around for whatever device it is. We want to be everywhere, so you don't have to worry about it, and we take care of it for you. Next, we really want to keep things simple. I mean, there are some applications out there right now where just to have a note tagged and get it added, it takes 12 steps in a mobile application. I mean, that's crazy. So we have one step. You can add a note and add a tag and have it organized automatically for you. And lastly, we want to be really useful. One of the worst things, I'm sure a lot of you know this, is in your email. Things tend to just get stuck in your email. So we want to get it out of your email, get it organized for you, and then we also allow you to actually share these notes and collaborate with other people. And so right now, some of our beachhead markets, to say, a lot of techies, young, busy people, and we've been going after these markets very aggressively. A lot of guerrilla marketing, Twitter, Facebook, and we currently have about 1,200 signups.
So one of the ways that we evolved most during our time at TechArb is we went from 2 guys with an idea to a real product. And not just a real product, but one that has actual users. We have over 100 people that are currently using this right now, and it's not just friends and family and people we know. And they're giving us really positive, encouraging feedback, saying that, you know, this is solving the problem that we set out to solve. And that's one of the most encouraging and validating things you can hear as an entrepreneur. And second, we've been engaging in this funny business called company building. And it can kind of feel like this, you know, the toddler stacking blocks one on top of the other. You know, you're kind of terrified that the whole thing is just going to fall apart, but, you know, you're just young enough and you're just naive enough to keep on stacking one more block on top of one more block and keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, and so right here, this is most of our team. One day this summer, we hosted a number of 24-hour hackathons in the TechArb when we were in the building 2 doors down. You can see everyone's hard at work. The hackathons were crucial to establishing a company culture. And I have to say, like when we sit in our meetings, and we have one coming up tonight, I get so excited because our team is so awesome. They really are. And yeah, so this is Alex's face when talking to Dime. You saw Jill present earlier. And you know, one of the greatest things about TechArb is being exposed to all these other companies and seeing what they're doing. Because Dime has to deal with stuff like distribution channels, regulations, stuff that we never even think about and don't honestly want to think about.
I'm never doing a manufacturing startup, ever.
And so for the future, looking ahead, right now we're in a closed beta, we're collecting all sorts of feedback. We try to contact every single person, and we're really trying to take this to the next step, and we're building out all of our product features as we go. And so we scrambled and got a nice little link together for you guys. We're in closed beta, but if you go to this link, basically our website, professionals.com/TechArb, you can click on sign up, you'll actually be able to get in, start using the product, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
Thanks, Sketch Notes. That was Alex and Chase. Next up is Through.im. Come on up. We have Chad and David.
Hey everyone, I'm Chad, this is David. We're both BBA seniors, and together we're the co-founders of Through.im. So to get started, I'll talk a little bit about our team. I'd like to consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I was one of those kids who, when I was 5 years old on a hot summer day, would sell lemonade on my block. I would make my dad drive me to all the competing lemonade stands so I could figure out how to differentiate my product offerings. Since then, and more recently, I started an event production company organizing large-scale concerts. It grossed around a little over $500,000 in revenue before I realized that's not what I want to do with my life, and that's when I started Through with David.
Hey guys, my name is David, and I originally came to the university to play baseball, but I quickly learned that I had a greater passion for starting businesses than I did to make it to the majors. So I started Through with Chad, and in between I held a few internships with Merrill Lynch and Stephen Ross's real estate firm Related, but like a lot of people in this room know, once you get that entrepreneurial bug, there's no going back to being employed. The rest of our team is made up of 3 software engineers and Anik Anguli, who is helping us find our customer. So now for our core concept. People run their lives through text and IM. We text our friends to find parties, our classmates to do homework, and our family to make dinner plans. But we can't use this new preferred communication channel to reach businesses. So our mission is to equip businesses with live chat that better satisfies customer needs, improves internal productivity, and increases brand equity through IM and text conversation.
what do we learn in TechArb? Well, I think we learned one major thing. If you build it, they will come. Actually, we learned that to be completely wrong. We learned that in order to build a valid business, you have to get out of the building. We learned the process of discovering and validating customers. And we also learned that a vision is not a market entry strategy. It might sound trivial, but we learned that a lot of startups fail because they don't focus and pick one market to go after and dedicate 100% of their resources to. While we were in the space, we accomplished a lot. We hired engineers, we secured our seed investor, and we even won $15,000 in grant money from the university. Oh, and not to mention, last term, we were the most dynamic team. So what's in for Through next? Well, right now, we have one paying customer, Mr. Delivery, who is a food delivery service that delivers 20 million orders per year internationally. We've just engaged in a 3-month paid trial period with our Arbor franchise, who pays us 50 cents per order that's sent through Text.IM. We realized, though, that this is a kind of a cool service, but it's not solving a real-world problem. So that's when we decided to pivot.
So we think we found that real-world problem that we're looking to solve. Right now we're working with doctors who perform elective procedures like plastic surgeons or dermatologists, selling our live chat system as a private, secure way of reaching patients, reaching other office staff, and reaching their referral doctors through Text.IM. We have 2 commitments from doctors so far, but we'll be further validating our problem hypotheses as we go forward in 2011. And from there, we'll be able to craft our solution, because like Chad said, we're not looking to build anything just yet.
I'll call back. I'm graduating in December to work on this full time, and as a team, we love you guys so much that we're going to be staying in Ann Arbor and working on this full time. Additionally, we're looking for a technical co-founder who can come with us for customer conversations and who can also provide managerial experience to our developers. Also, like everyone, we're looking for more software engineers. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, including why we pivoted to doctors, please feel free to come see us at our booth. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Let me see if I can figure this out without Moses. Aha! Next up is Ask Messaging.
Hi, my name's Chris McMeeking. I'm with Ask Applications. That stands for Assistive Scanning Keyboard. I see we're kind of running short on time, so I'll keep this as short as possible. So our basic concept here is we have these people with fine motor control disabilities, and we have this mobile revolution concept. So picture you're a 15-year-old girl sitting in your classroom, and you look around and all of your friends are carrying a mobile phone, and you have cerebral palsy, and your hand is literally forced into a shape that's something like this, and you can't target the buttons on those mobile phones, so literally they're useless to you. And so what we aim to do is to enable this person who is kind of left out of this mobile revolution, all of these huge things that people are doing with these mobile devices, and we want to enable them to do that. So what we have is this girl here. She has cerebral palsy, and she is sitting here using our device. What we did was we're kind of redefining the touchscreen interface to allow these people to have access to this device. And the way we did that was develop this scanning interface. What it does is it scans over the options on the screen so that you can select everything by a simple binary touch. So the only input that they ever have with the device is a yes or a no signal. And this signal can be anything. Right now, on the iPad, we have them using the touch screen, but with the advent of forward-facing cameras, you can easily see where we could extend this to head nods. You can plug in USB devices and have a simple button clicker. A lot of them have predefined scanning things where they've dealt with this scanning interface before for other things. And so with our scanning keyboard, a lot of them have the head button. Any type of yes or no signal you can send to our device, you can use to work our mechanism to use these mobile devices, and that's huge. It takes this thing that they've been locked out of completely, and suddenly they have access to it and can use it. Something I learned through the TechArb, you could stand up here and we can list thing after thing that we've learned from the TechArb. They put us in contact with so many people. It's a great experience, great mentorship. But what TechArb to me is really about is the networking that you get. When I think through what TechArb really did for us, when I think of all the people they put us in contact with, I didn't even know patent lawyers existed before TechArb. We got in contact with venture capitalists. We got in contact with CEOs. So many people that I really would have had no idea how to approach are coming into the TechArb and talking to us and volunteering information and getting us in contact with so many people. And it's like when they come in and talk to students, they want to share information. They're excited. So not only have I contacted this person, but I've also contacted this person's network, and they send me out to other people, and it's just huge networking experience. And the University of Michigan is one of the best networked universities in the world. And the TechArb is kind of the door to the entrepreneurial University of Michigan network, which is enormous. That's just the implications of that. I still don't think I fully understand. So looking to the future, what we're looking to is developing for the Android platform. On iOS, the Apple kind of has these user interface expectations, and they don't open their APIs to allow you to develop much more than single applications. So our application is confined to our own personal application. We can't go outside of that. So if our messaging application gets shut down, our scanning is broken and they need help getting back into it. With the Android, we can take over the entire user interface. So instead of just having a text messaging application, we can have a text messaging interface for the entire phone, and suddenly you open up huge possibilities. Instead of just emailing, suddenly they can call their friends without help. They can text message without help. They can play games, they can read books. Anything that you can do on your smartphone, they now have access to just through downloading and installing a simple application. So, that's it.
Thanks, Chris. Next up, we have Regenerate.
Hi, my name is Paul Davis, and I'm from Regenerate Solutions. We design and lease on-site waste-to-energy eco-dumpsters, which create cheaper and greener alternatives to landfill disposal of organic waste. Our team is composed of 4 graduate students who met through the School of Natural Resources and the social center of the U of M campus, the Biogas Enthusiast Club on North Campus. We came together to build a business around being more efficient with our waste streams. And we focused on organic waste streams in particular, which make up the largest percentage of municipal solid waste. Each year, Americans throw away 32 million tons of food waste. For large food service operators like Aramark, Whole Foods, Walmart, Compass Group, this accounts for over $2 billion in annual disposal costs and loss of revenue. These are our clients. This is who we're targeting. And we're turning their dumpsters into cows. No, really, cows. That's what we make. Compact organic waste stations is what we call them, which mimic the rumen of a cow, turning food waste into methane gas and a nutrient-rich compost. We burn that methane gas on site to generate hot water, which we feed into the building, lowering our clients' natural gas costs. We also produce a nutrient-rich compost on the back end, which we bag and sell as a cradle-to-cradle compost product. But not only do we do that, but we actually monitor what our cows eat. So we're able to tell every food service operator what they're throwing away, what it was, when they threw it away, and how much they threw away, which is helping them lean their procurement and better their meal planning to reduce their overall cost of doing business. We learned a great deal through TechArb over the last 2 terms that we've served, or had the pleasure to be part of TechArb. The best part is the TechArb board meetings, actually, which they started during our 2nd term here, which had entrepreneurs from other teams helping each of the other teams out, as well as the help of people like Paul Kirsch and Doug Neal and Moses sitting on your board and asking you the relevant questions to get your business rolling. That kept us hyper-focused and confident that we're pursuing the right targets in terms of moving our business forward. So some of the accomplishments that we did during our term at TechArb, we launched a 1/10 scale prototype, which we affectionately call the CAF, which has been operating at the MSU Anaerobic Digestion and Research Center at MSU. We built customer partnerships to get waste streams for our full-scale unit that we're looking to launch in April. So we have access to Whole Foods, Aramark, and Walmart waste streams to run that pilot. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get people's waste. We competed in 8 business plan competitions, and I really, again, have to thank Paul, who listened to us wax poetic about being urban cowboys and looking for greener pastures over the last year. And during that time, we raised over $190K in financing, which has helped us move our business forward and towards completion of our first full-scale prototype. So our current activities, we're actually coming to our end of time in TechArb. So right now we're out building our first round of financing. We're looking for $1.5 million to build and test our first 2 prototypes and roll out of 4 prototypes, 2 here in Ann Arbor and 2 in other climates around the US. We're searching for a permanent pasture, as we call it, a warehouse and lab space here in Ann Arbor. We're going to have our own anaerobic digestion research center and a space to house our first full-scale cows unit. Finally, we're in the midst of procurement, and we're working with a number of Michigan manufacturers. We're trying to do this all at home. Michigan manufacturers to build our first full-scale prototype and bring clean tech manufacturing here to Southeast Michigan. Thank you so much. We'll regenerate solutions, and we're redefining waste.
Surely not least is, are you a human?
Hey everybody, my name is Ben Blackmer, and I'm with Are You Human? For those interested, it is 2-1 in the top of the 5th on the Detroit Tigers score. So we're leading. Go Tigers. All right. So the yes, got it. So I just want to talk to you briefly about Are You Human? What we're doing, and then how TechArb has helped us grow our company. So what we do is we have created a new way to verify that users online are actually humans. This is commonly accomplished by these things, which are called CAPTCHAs. I think everybody knows what they are. Websites ask you to fill them out when buying tickets or those types of things. Most people have a pretty awful user experience with them, and they also fail in their main goal, which is to stop bots from getting through. What we do, instead of asking you to do this with text, we ask people to do it with simple games. Simple, fun, intuitive games that are easier for humans to do, but harder for bots. These are 2 of our clients. Quizzle is a credit score company, and Fathead makes those big wall graphics that sports stores and stuff. They're really excited about these games, as are we. When I think about what TechArb has meant to us, it's really about startup education. So when you're starting your company, we've seen a lot of great metaphors, building blocks. I think of it as a maze. There's lots of paths you can go. You don't know which one is going to get you to your goal, or which one is going to send you down a dead end. What TechArb really teaches, espouses, and brings to companies is this idea of how to find the right path. When they talk about steep blank methodology, when they talk about customer discovery, when they talk about iteration, when they talk about the lean methodology, all these things give you the toolkit to figure out where to go. And it's not just really important for startups. A lot of companies start at TechArb, and not all of them finish, but the skills that you learned here are applicable in so many different areas, and it's really awesome for that education. So how has it helped us specifically? When we entered TechArb, we were 5 co-founders, 5 MBAs, trying to start a tech company. Some people would laugh at that, but Paul and Doug and the people at TechArb really believed in us, and really appreciate that. Along the way, so we had 1 prototype game. We had no money, we had no developers. We just had an idea. Along the way, along the process, we placed second in the Rice Business Line competition. We closed a Series A funding in June. And we've gone from 0 to 8 employees. That's not including the co-founders. We have a really awesome team that I really love to work with every day. Started with 1 game that was okay, and now we have 8 awesome games that two of which you've seen that are a couple different places. Started with 0 websites. We're now on 11 different websites, and it's growing every day. And nobody knew about us at the beginning. We have 192. It's actually probably more like 200 at this point. We get about 5 new beta signups a day, waiting for people who want to use our product. That's just so awesome. And then I just checked the numbers. So we've been serving on these websites. We've been serving about 1,200 2,500 captures a day. And that growth is very attributable to TechArb. Really appreciate it. For us, our next steps, we have a test with our first customer in market. We're getting data from that, figuring out how to improve our product, serve our customers better. Then we are going to release our private beta for people on that list. So you can get on that list if you want, areyohuman.com, probably in the next week or so. And then we will release our production level product in about a month. And that means anybody in the world can download our widgets, put them on their website, and we can get feedback from that perspective. And then what we do is it's getting customers and getting revenue. That's what everybody is in there to do. So my time is winding down, but I really want to thank everybody at the TechArb. Everybody is pretty awesome, but in particular, just people who really believed in us, Doug Neal, Paul Kirsch, and then the student entrepreneurs at FetchNotes, Regenerate, and Dime, who we really got to work with a lot over the summer. It's really amazing to work with these people over the summer and get to know their struggles, work with them together, and get to know them. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
So we're only going to keep you seated for a few minutes more. I see the food is being set up. I'd like to introduce Doug Neal, the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Amy. Well, everyone, I understand I'm standing between you and food, so I'll be very brief. First of all, thank you all for coming, and thank you to ZLI, our partnership with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Zell-Lurie Institute, for all the hard work that ZLI has put into this. And I had a couple things I wanted to share, and then we have one last announcement that Moses and Amy are going to do. But what I wanted to do was reflect briefly on where, well, 2 things. One is to thank all these great companies that came up today, and please join me in thanking them for all their hard work. You get to see the great presentations, but you don't get to see all the blood, sweat, and tears the last 6 months that these teams went through. Getting into TechArb isn't easy, but once you're in TechArb, it isn't any easier after that. We enjoy it when they get out of the building more. As Ben already said, we're lean startup believers, and getting out of the building in front of customers is critical to success. So there's a lot of pushing, a lot of coaching, and a lot of successes all these teams had to get through to get here. And a success isn't always a launch. You know, in our opinion, a success is a failure, right? You learn way more from failures, actually, than just what you learn from wins. So we're proud of all the teams that have been in TechArb. And on that note, the final note, we've come a long way in 3 years. TechArb started, for those of you who don't know, about 3 years ago by RPM Ventures as a summer project for 3 startups from U of M. And in the first 2 summers, 6 to 7 startups went through the program. The university took over the program in 2009, and it's been 2 years that we've been running TechArb since then. And some of you may have been there when we talked about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to launch. And we have this crazy vision of trying to get to 100 startups a year coming out of the university through TechArb. Well, in the last 2 years, we've had almost 50 startups come through TechArb. And with what we're going to announce next, with the people who are, teams who are accepted at TechArb, the next 12 months we'll do 50 more. So we're on track to get to that 100 startups per year. I'm really proud of everybody. All right, with that, and everybody from the community, we need your help as these startups go out of TechArb. They're going to be out in the community. We need you to help engage, help advise, and help push everything forward, because we're all part of the same community. With that, I'd like to introduce Moses Lee and Amy Klinke to announce the 19 new startup companies that are coming into TechArb.
We had a record number, around 60 teams apply to TechArb recently. So 1 second here, we're giving too much away here.
Ready?
Okay. All right. So really quickly, we had a record number, around 60 teams apply. Lowest acceptance rate to TechArb yet. We have a new space. We have new resources. We are pumped up for session 7, and we think that we're going to have more teams succeed and fail and learn quite a bit about entrepreneurship along the way. So without further ado, we wanted to announce the new teams the 19 teams that are going to be entering TechArb Session 7 in an unbelievable class. We have 2 teams that are holding over from previous session to continue moving forward. So this first team is working on a technology that allows people to learn languages in personalized manners. So this new team is called Automated Personalized Language Tutoring. So let's welcome this team. Please stand up or hold up your hand.
What's your hand?
Great.
Yay.
Right here.
The next team has a device that will allow, you know how we have the automated heart defibrillators? Well, this team is going to have that same device in the wall, but to intubate people when they have breathing issues. This is Brio Technologies. Are you guys here? They might have been archived. All right.
The next team has created a manual centrifuge device made out of bicycle parts used for clinics in rural India. Let's welcome Centricycle. You can stand up. All right, we're back here. Centricycle.
And the next team you've already seen, but they're going to change the developing world with maternal health infants. Dime.
This next team is developing a prep school in China teaching English, standardized tests, and college application consulting. We're going to make sure that they're doing it the legal way. Let's welcome Educatrium.
The next team, actually, how many of you want to buy how many of you want to buy an electric vehicle but have no idea where to plug it in? Well, this team was going to solve that issue. They're at EV Station. Welcome, EV Station.
Great. This next team is a holdover from the previous session. They're working on an application that allows you to capture quick and easy notes through text messages. Let's welcome back Fetch Notes. Oh, EV Station. Fetch Notes.
The next team is going to be able to connect yourself, a personal person, with a financial advisor, because who knows how to find them? This is Finance. All right.
Okay, this next team is going to help building managers better equip their buildings and maintain them through a software plugin that basically allows you to keep track of everything that you need to maintain in the building.
All right.
Welcome, IFM Database.
The next team is going to connect your taste with art with music. Welcome, iTunes for Art. You guys here?
All right. This next team has developed basically a sleeping bag that can heat up without electricity and really allow those who are affected by hypothermia to stay warm. This next team is MRAP. Let's welcome MRAP. MRAP almost had a heart attack when they found out. You might have needed that device yourself.
And this next company is a cloud-based software company that specializes in monitoring health data. This is Secure Healing. Let's welcome Secure Healing.
How many of you have ever really just wanted to find a pickup basketball game, frisbee game out somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. It's a number of people. So this next team is working on an application that allows people to locate and participate in pickup games from basketball to touch football to softball. So let's welcome Snap into the TechArb.
The next team is a high-tech consulting and IP company that specializes in design and fabrication. The next team is called SynapTech.
This next team is trying to ride the wave of the show Biggest Loser and allow weight loss to be a team sport through a mobile application. Let's welcome in Team Fit. So for New Year's, January, it's going to be released in January, so a lot of you can, get on it.
And also, so this next team is a team that will allow you to figure out what furniture is the best price to put in that fits into your house. This one is called This Fits. All right.
How many of you have ever wanted to give your bosses some feedback but didn't really know how to do that? All right, so a lot of you should be raising your hand. This team is working on a tool that allows employees to give feedback to other people within the organization and help improve self-development within organizations. Let's welcome in Thrively.
The last team I'm going to mention is a team that's going to take hybrid technology and put it in the lakes and on the water. This next team is called Torch Hybrid Marine Systems.
Great, and finally, this next team is working on an online trivia platform that allows anyone to create and share trivia games. Let's welcome in U Trivia. Great, so we're excited for Session 7. We welcome a lot of you in the community to come down and check out these teams. If you're interested in mentoring, being a part of TechArb, please let us know at the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Zell-Lurie Institute. So without further ado, we have food, and we have a bunch of booths set up. The teams are going to be presenting their ventures. You can get to know them, and we're hoping tonight will be a great time just to mingle and get to know folks in the community. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So,